Now I'm excited to take you guys on a tour today and check out what we've accomplished this winter. This is one of those spots right here. We're actually going to start in the Kubota, finish in the Ranger, but this is a big bedding area right here. We're going to transfer from here. This is a big bedding area. We've created a lot of bedding areas right here. And then we go on to our rabbit huts, a little pass through, some edge thinning for shading coming into a food plot. We got rid of that shade, so we're getting that exposed to sunlight. We're going to open that up. We opened up an apple tree around that area so we can release more apples. It really enhances that for a bow hunting spot too. So come along on the journey. We're going to go around the property and really hope you enjoy the tour, because we've enjoyed creating the work this winter to showcase to you, and especially as it relates to the improvement of our whitetails and wildlife habitat here on the home farm. Well, this is Rabbit Habitat number 1 on the property that we created this year. And you can see we're cutting down, we're layering it over 3 pallets back there. We're hinge cutting. We're also providing cuttings on some of the hardwoods on the inside, including basswood, a little bit of hickory, some cherry, some of the aspen. So we're getting a lot of regeneration around here that serves grouse, nesting habitat for turkeys, let alone rabbits. So let's go see some more. Now, this is one of the bedding areas we were able to work on this year, and this is a bedding area that we worked on last year too. I really needed to, we did a bedding area checkup just yesterday. It's Monday, and on the 12th of March we put out a bedding area checkup video and talked about this area. Dylan and I came in here and found 10 beds. It was really cool. I wanted to improve on that, and one of the ways I needed to improve on it, we had a lot of large aspen in here, and they're just waiting to be cut. Some of them were actually a little bit rotten on the inside, so they're past their prime. They're not harvestable timber, but man, they throw up about 7,000 shoots per acre, and that's all grouse cover, rabbit cover, and certainly deer cover. We have a redneck blind right out of here. We have a water hole over here, and so that pushes deer either up along this edge. We have a hole that goes through the middle that lines up with the trail that Tyler's buck, our charity winner, shot right at the water hole up here out of the redneck blind. And then we have a bedding bench below. So I didn't want to cover up that bedding bench, but I wanted to throw a lot of sunlight into it. It's under a bunch of oaks back there, white and red oaks, big mature ones. On that bench, we have the holes through the middle where deer can actually go through here, or pushes them up along this edge. And then we have a big bank of switchgrass out here that's 250 yards long. So this was a big improvement for us. Knocked down some giant trees. It was a lot of fun knocking them down, but we can't wait for more explosions, because we've already had a good amount of explosion, but it just wasn't. I like to clear cut aspen, and that's the way you should do it. So we had some big ones to get out of the way. We did so, and this is another bedding area that I spent quite a bit of time on, knocking down that timber, and quite a bit of time, especially when you look over the last 2 years, which will make a big improvement for our hunt this fall. Well, this is another spot that we're really excited about, and part of it all goes with the planning. So we're not going through all the plans we have right now. We'll show you that later in the summer. In fact, we'll detail everything we've improved on the entire property from front to back. But in this spot right here, there's a lot of sunlight that was being robbed by these edge trees right here, mostly aspen. So I spent some time cutting this entire edge right here so we can let sunlight into this small plot. The cool thing about this, little insight into some of the planning, is as this extends down that direction, we'll be able to double the length of this food plot. And then there's a lower terrace down in the woods. They used to farm all this, which is crazy. The terraces are sometimes 2 and 3 deep in the woods, and that's at all that early successional growth, and then it hits a bunch of oaks and hardwoods. So this early successional growth, we're going to clean back out here, and we'll be able to, on that end, expand this plot downhill a little ways, increase the length, and we're going to add about a ½ acre with that. So that'll put this food plot up to about 3/4 of an acre, which will be a really good size. Right now we have a tower stand behind Dylan up there from Family Tradition Stands. It blends in there real well. We want to use that somewhere else where we get more use out of it. And then we have a perfect red cedar up there that we can stick a hang-on stand, probably only a 16-foot ladder stick from Family Traditions, and then we'll have a spot for a camera, and then we have a nice scrape on the apple tree behind Dylan. And that's another thing I did here, is this apple tree has been choked in for a while. We had an aspen, and then we had some big cherries right here. You can see what the big cherry right over here on the side, a couple over on that end. So we had some logs, had a honeysuckle bush I started clearing. So we're gonna clean all the way around this so we get better apple production, but it's right in shooting distance from that red cedar right there, along with that hanging scrape right there. So perfect combination for coming into the end of this smaller portion of the food plot. We'll have a thick gray dogwood and sumac and briar edge up here, which is great for rabbits. We have pheasants around here. This is a really cool spot. And then we have more sunlight coming into here, so we're going to increase the value of the food plot. And part of that too is, you know, with the food plot business, there's no such thing as a shady food plot mix other than it's shady. It's not a good thing. You have to have sunlight coming in to hit your food plots. It doesn't matter what seed you're planting. There's nothing that grows well in the shade. If there's a company that says so, they're just trying to steal your dollars. So what we want you to do is, what we advocate is plant a food plot with good forages, whatever fits for what your need is, and then get sunlight into it. So we're working on this side right here, which happens to be the southwest and west side. South on this end, we already eliminated a lot, so we're getting sun in the morning, sun in the afternoon, increased sunlight. We'll have that aspen edge along here because that's what we're cutting, which increases that potential for turkey nesting, rabbits and grouse. So it's kind of a combined effort for all wildlife, but ultimately we're going to have a good food plot here in this location. So let's go see some more on the property you accomplished this winter. Now it's March 13th and it seems like the dead of winter. I don't know, Dylan, did you hear the birds over there?
I just saw some robins, man.
It sounds so nice. It's out here, we're kind of, it seems we had more snow last night. We had 5 inches a few days ago. We had 10 inches a couple weeks ago, and it just, winter's just still holding on. But that's been able to give us a lot more time to get out here in the woods and enjoy cutting in the winter, which I like to do. Once spring really hits, we don't cut anymore. I like cutting at a time when there's still a lot of energy in the root system. You're cutting at a time of dormancy and then it just explodes. And that's when I want to have it cut before that time, so we get all the regeneration, a hardwood regeneration, aspen, whatever it might be, or hinge cuts, anything. And then we might cut again July, August. Typically have other things to do at that time. So we're getting a lot of cutting done, and this is one of those spots. Dylan and I sat right over there and created a video about creating deer bedding, what, a month and a half ago? Yep. Somewhere around there. And so we came in here and did it. And I say Jen spots, she's like the safety manager, make sure I don't do something stupid. She carries her Band-Aid kit, whatever, but she makes sure that there's no dead heads up in the trees, and it's good partnership when we do that. It's always nice to have someone cutting, it's a lot safer. But then cut this area over here. There's a bedding bench above. This area right down here is an old 2-track, deer follow it, and there's bedding along there. So I'm cutting in between. Now a lot of this area is a big giant jungle. Be great for rabbits, great for grouse, turkey nesting habitat on the outside edges and the briars and hardwood regeneration. I don't really care if deer can move through this 3/4 of an acre right here, because they can move all the way around. We're not dropping trees on their bedding benches. We're not dropping trees on our access trails and UTV trails. And so that means we're really separating our cuttings. Here's another start to a cutting right here. So we have 2 separate cuttings separated by this ATV trail. And I would say probably about 40 yards in between the cuttings. And then you have a little bit of a gap. We go down to the bottom, which we're going to drive through here in a second, and that's bedding that we created last year and added to again this year. We're going to go look at that next. The bottom line is we're creating bedding. It's a checkerboard effect, and we have a lot more to complete in the next week and a half to 10 days. We're going to really hit it hard. This is the hardest winter we've hit for actually creating bedding areas and putting a lot of time into it. So we're going to follow up this with a bedding area visit towards the end of these chores that we've accomplished during the winter time. But we're really excited because right down here, not only do we create a bedding area, but we created an access route to go by the stand location where Jen and I shot our bucks last year with our bows. Hers in mid-October, mine in early November during the gun season, but both with our bows. That buck ended up dying into the bedding area down there, but now we actually were able to open up the old 2-track. I mean, old 2-track meaning there are trees growing on it that were 10 inches in diameter, 8 inches, 12 inches. So it's been a long time since that's been open, but we opened it up. We had Jared put a road in on the back side, so now we can drive right through there. And there, you can bet there was a couple high fives when we finally made it through, because we were working on this a while. Dylan's been here working on it. Dante was down here working on it. Jen and I several times. So finally it's open, and we created bedding at the same time. So let's go take a look at that. Well, this is a bedding area we created last year. And you can see the cuts extending up the hill up there. We're actually going to extend that even more this year so that that bench up there gets a lot more sunlight. And then down here, Dylan had video of us dropping a lot of box elder down here and junk trees, junk timber. Some of the growth has been just incredible. looking behind at a box elder in front of the side-by-side, and there's at least 6 to 7 foot, maybe even 8 foot shoots coming off it. So all that's deer browse, all that's cover. We're creating these living bushes down here. Deer can move a lot of different locations between all these cuttings. We haven't blocked it off. What that also did for us, you can see this trail that extends through here. This is an old 2-track. It was used for logging or something back in the day, but we were able to get a lot of these large logs out while doing all this. And now we created a passageway where we can get up to the stand location where Jen and I actually shot our bucks last year. So kind of twofold down here. This is a beautiful bedding area. It relates to a neighboring food source, getting prolific regeneration. This is where I had Lucky come through last year. 45 came through, shot him. Jen's buck was either 4 or 5 years old, a big 220-pound field dress monster. So we love this area down here. We didn't hunt it very often, but when we did, we had really good success and luck. Dylan and I sat down here. I think it was our first sit of the year together, and my first sit of the year too. And we had a nice 3-year-old come through, getting a drink of water. But we're making this area a lot better. So we've spent a lot more time on this. We've been down here several times to get through this. And part of the problem is we have these giant logs. Some are still frozen into the ground. So we took the winch on the side-by-side. We've yanked some out of the way. But in doing this, we've been able to address a lot of these small trees along the side, especially these box elders, where we're hinging them away from the trail. The deer can slip in and out in a lot of locations here. But then we're putting a lot of regeneration right here. And a deer can just wind through here. It's not a straight trail, but they can wind through here and go right up to the stand location. So it's almost like a deer corridor with the hinge cuts to the side, regeneration coming in. We've had to drop some trees. Then we've been able to favor some of the oaks down here and leave them. So that's kind of the theme, is we have some scattered big oak, a lot of twisted, not a lot of timber value, but we have some white oak mixed in. So we've been able to save those. And then you go up the hill. Dylan and I were just there. Well, you go up the hill about 80 yards outside of this bedding area, and there's another one. You go across 40 yards away, and we have another bedding area. From the back of this bedding area to the back of that bedding area is about 200 yards. We're creating bedding up on the point. We're extending the bedding up here on this bench over here. So what we're doing is we're just really filling in these areas, and then we're just coming to the outside. We come through a non-bedding area, open timber, mature hardwood passageway down a draw behind us to get into the stand location and just get to the edge of this bedding area and hunt. So it's already paid off big with what we did last year and the entire plan that I went with, from water hole to tree stand to bedding area to access, everything we had to put together, and now we're just making it better. So pretty exciting. And this is the bottom of the draw. The top of the draw is way up there. We're going to take a look at that, but first we're going to drive through here. This will be the first time Dylan's driven through here, so I'm excited to take him through here, because Dylan's kind of along for the journey. We've been working together since middle of 2016, so a long time. He's a full-time employee in the past. Now he's a part-timer, independent contractor. That's what sounds better. He works for a lot of different people, but pretty cool to have him along for the journey. Even today, I was showing him things that Jen and I thought, well, this would be cool to do. What do you think? So we're always bouncing ideas off Dylan. He's my main person I do that with, so it's kind of cool to have that, and I trust him, so that's a good thing too. So, but anyways, let's take Dylan on this first drive and complete this little passage we made down here, get out of this bedding area, and we'll go see some other cool stuff that we've accomplished this winter. Well, this is rabbit hut number 2, and you can kind of see the theme. We're clearing out a large area. The pallets are actually right back in there. We've dropped a lot of timber. We're adjacent to briars, switchgrass, and then this creates that screening edge behind it where we access right out here. We don't want to spook deer on the inside. So it's just serving a lot of purposes right here. Again, increase grouse population. These rabbit huts, I would estimate, take anywhere from a half hour to 45 minutes, depending on the timber and the habitat around it, but well worth the investment. And we'll really get a lot of life out of those pallets when they're covered up extensively like this with a lot of brush. It creates a living brush pile. We're able to cut small timber around it first, hinge cut, or medium-sized timber, and we brought some of the big logs in from the back. A lot of box elder in this location, a little bit of aspen, and some cherry. So this is rabbit hut number 2. That adds to the ones we already have on the property. Again, I have to count through. It's 11 or 12, 10, 11, 12 right around there. And welcome additions. Against the switch, areas that already tend to hold rabbits anyways, and we're just making sure a few more survive throughout the winter. But there's a lot of other benefits to wildlife at the same time. So I really want to go check out that last bedding area that we spent a lot of time on this winter, and show you guys how that looks from a different angle. Well, I don't know what order Dylan's going to show these in.
Are you gotta give me an order. It's going to just jump around if you don't give me a good order.
You mean from like rabbit hut to bedding area to that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is our last improvement that we've made so far this winter that I can think of. I don't think we're missing any, are we, Dylan? It's hard to think of. We've done a lot, and this is a big one.
Tour.
Yeah, this is a big one. This was very important to us. There's a great bedding area right here, and it was more bedding by location. I don't know if you remember, Dylan and I, we found about 9 balloons down here. Was it the one day?
Oh yeah.
It was maybe 2 years ago.
I have to do some digging for that.
Sorry if I put you on the spot for that, but this was a bedding area we wanted to create right here. And you can see there's I don't know if you can see it, it's all the way down the hill. There's a big rub on a tree, a nice rub on a nice sized tree. And I kept that. I didn't cut it down. I was just, it pained me to cut it down for some reason. It's kind of stupid, but this entire bedding area was something that Wes helped me with the other day. And that was a bedding area right here that I'd made before then. And then I cut a couple up on the top against the field over there, against the sumac, couple switchgrass lines. And then all the way across the hollow, I cut over there too, and that added to cuttings that we did the year before. So we're really thickening up this hollow right here, keeping deer here. They go up and feed on our home food plots over here. We have a food plot behind Dylan, behind the machine over here. We have a water hole over here we call the beaver stand. That's where I passed up 45, a 5-year-old last year. So we get a lot of movement right through here. Where the side-by-side's parked right now, there's a thin 2-track that goes along the side of the hill right here. And it's a little bit washed out, but it's enough to walk through, whether for us or deer. Great little ditch line access along the top, small ravine. We'll be able to walk in, get into a tree. Pretty low impact between bedding area we're going to add on that point over there this next weekend. This bedding area all the way in between to the bottom. It's about a half mile to the bottom of the hollow here where we have bedding area down at the bottom. So we're filling some of those spaces in between, but this bedding area is big. And we've been separating. Again, we're separating these by 50, 60, 80 yards, somewhere around there. And then we cut an acre, 3/4 of an acre, acre and a half. So we have a lot of those cuttings spread out around this entire hollow. We're going to continue it all the way through and working on these edgings right here. And so I hope you've enjoyed this tour around the farm of what we completed for our deer chores this winter and everything that we've gotten done, let alone all the planning. We've talked about a little of the planning. Even the rabbit huts, I hope you enjoyed that because we started out with a rabbit hut. I called it rabbit hut number 1. We just completed that today. That's why I'm still wearing chaps, my chainsaw and outfit and helmets in there, chainsaws. But you know, we're creating the rabbit huts because there's a lot of other wildlife that goes along with it. We have one right up here. We have another one right over here. We have a small switchgrass field up to the top right here. That completes timber cuttings around those rabbit huts. We usually cut those 20, 30 yards wide and deep. And so we get a lot of hardwood regeneration. Again, that helps nesting turkeys. It's great nesting habitat right next to switchgrass, right next to hardwoods. And then we have this regeneration line where they have shrubs, hardwood regen that comes up. Then we have our rabbit huts that blocks our access from up above, from things going on down here with deer herd. Creates great grouse habitat. We have cuttings like that spread throughout the entire property. And I hope you enjoy what we've gotten done this winter. We've really enjoyed it. And we're gonna have one more stop, and that's in our pole building to check out what we've accomplished there, and a very important part of our whitetail passion and what we do this entire winter. It's a giant project. So we've gotten a lot done when you think about it. Everyone says, well, you know, how about we get together during the summer when you're less busy, or in the spring or in the winter, and it's busy nonstop. We do find times to settle down and get away, pull away from it all. A lot of you know I love fishing up in Canada, but when it comes to whitetails and improving the property for wildlife and whitetails, we never stop. And let's go take a look at this last stop. Excited to tell you guys and show you what's going on there, and I hope you enjoyed the tour so far. Well, the last thing we're going to show you is we have our seed operation. It's up and running. So WHS Wildlife Blends, we went online about 4 weeks ago. And on top of that, we started selling a couple blends last July, but we're up to 12 blends right now. We can also ship bulk buckwheat, bulk rye. We have that ability, so make sure if you want pallets, half pallet, full pallet, we can do that. But Jen and Wes started here, and they're looking like they're busy, but we were all just joking around. They're actually doing nothing right now. So you see we put these racks in here, so we have areas for all our big pallet seed, and then all our small bags go in the middle. Boxes. We really appreciate all you guys ordering and checking us out. Please check out the website. We can also, Jackson's in here sometimes, so we have his little playpen with all his toys. We had to finish the pole building, heat it, insulate it, air conditioning, so we can actually work out of here and ship seed all around the country. I think, Jen, how many states so far?
I believe we're up to like almost 40, I think we're up to 46. Yeah, 46.
46 states, so that's pretty cool. We really thank you guys. And Wes has been out on the property helping out with bedding areas already. He helped us get some pallets into the back of the side-by-side for our rabbit huts today, but you'll see a lot more Wes in the future. He'll be taking on a few clients towards the end of this year, December, January, February, but he's working full-time for us, and we're happy to have him. So if you have any seed questions, Wes is typically the one that's going to answer. We had some bag problems with our supplier. So Wes, how many emails were you sending out for that? Like 190 or?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
So he's been doing that because we wanted to apologize. We don't have our fancy bags yet. And, but we really appreciate you guys checking out the seed and also what we've accomplished this winter. It hasn't been just out on the property. We've gotten so much done, but we had a lot to undertake with this, even just putting the website together, all the text, and Jen's more the numbers person as far as our net profit margins and spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff. And Wes does a little bit of that too, customer service, sales, and been pretty exciting. So we've got a lot accomplished this winter. There's a lot of planning and other things we've done that we haven't even shown you, but we can't wait to bring you more throughout the rest of this year, whether it's habitat or hunting. We never let up. We keep on plugging away, and it's very rewarding. Thank you, guys. Hey, I'm really excited to introduce to you our Hills and Thermals web class. It's something we worked on all year. We're trying to put lots of facets of scouting, aerial imagery, diagrams on the whiteboard to really teach you how the wind moves through hills and how you should find bedding areas, how it relates to deer movements in general, how that relates to this is a bedding area stand, this is a food source afternoon stand. We really tried to put this together and offer you a complete picture of how to navigate hills and find better success consistently where you hunt.